Earlier this month, Jeffrey Goldberg, editor-in-chief of The Atlantic, found himself inadvertently added to a highly sensitive Signal group chat involving senior U.S. government officials, including Vice President J.D. Vance, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, and National Security Advisor Michael Waltz. For several days, Goldberg silently observed detailed military planning concerning airstrikes against Houthi forces in Yemen. Astonishingly, no one within the administration noticed or corrected the error. As of now, the government has offered no clear explanation for how such a significant lapse could occur. The silence around this serious incident invites careful consideration of possible scenarios. Here, we propose one theory based purely on logical deduction and existing public facts, one that merits careful investigation. It is publicly known and well documented that former President Donald Trump has historically used aliases such as John Barron and John Miller in communications. The practice of employing aliases among senior officials, while not necessarily standard, is also not without precedent, especially for reasons of operational security or privacy. It is logical, therefore, to consider whether Trump or his senior staff might have used an alias on Signal. One plausible alias could be J. Goldberg, the name of Trump's longtime divorce attorney who passed away in 2022. J. Goldberg, as a deceased and formerly trusted associate, would offer plausible deniability and prevent accidental identification in sensitive conversations. The Signal group in question was created by National Security Advisor Mike Waltz. Given the structure of presidential communications, it's reasonable to assume that Waltz was acting on direct instruction from President Trump, or adding participants in line with his expectations. If Trump told Waltz to add J. Goldberg, the instruction would carry ambiguity. When spoken, the name J is indistinguishable from the initial J. If Waltz interpreted that as J. Goldberg and relied on Signal's contact suggestions, it's entirely predictable that Jeffrey Goldberg, whose contact information is on the phone due to journalistic interactions with the administration, was added by mistake. Perhaps the most significant puzzle in this incident is why Goldberg's presence went undetected and unaddressed for several days. Logically, if participants believed they had correctly added the intended alias, potentially President Trump himself, a silent observer would raise no immediate alarms. In other words, Goldberg's silence would be consistent with participants' expectations of how an alias-associated official, possibly the president, might behave. If participants are conditioned by protocol or habit to include a senior official, such as the president, by default in certain communications, even if silent and unresponsive, then it becomes entirely plausible that Goldberg's passive presence would not trigger suspicion. If accurate, this theory suggests several problems. An unintended vulnerability within the administration's communication protocols. Potential systemic confusion about user identities in secure communications. Possible over-reliance on informal or unclear practices, such as the use of aliases, which can directly compromise operational security. These are structural and procedural issues that transcend political allegiances. They demand impartial examination, both to resolve the existing security lapse and to prevent similar incidents in the future. This hypothesis, while theoretical, is both logical and consistent with known facts. It clearly demonstrates how easily even minor protocol lapses can spiral into significant security breaches. Such lapses can occur in any administration and should be understood as an institutional rather than partisan failure. Given the lack of alternative explanations provided by the government, this theory offers a coherent, rational starting point for investigation. Congressional oversight committees, inspectors general, and national security professionals now have both an obligation and an opportunity to clarify exactly how such a breach could occur, and how similar vulnerabilities can be avoided in the future. Careful, impartial investigation and appropriate reforms in response are vital, not just to restore public trust, but to strengthen America's operational security infrastructure as a whole.